Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the monthly review of Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest. Time is flying by, as it is now time for July's chapters. The two chapters we will be covering are chapters 86 and 87. This is your standard warning for these videos. Spoilers ahead. As usual, if you are enjoying the content, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay up to date with everything posted. Without further ado, let's get started. Picking up where we left off with Chapter 85, the world of Elantir was being ravished by Hand. Due to this catastrophe, all of the citizens are fleeing in terror. Of course, this makes sense. However, the Grand White Priestess tells them that now is the time to fight as citizens of Whiteout Village, and it is their duty to white out magic and to bring peace to the world. She does make an excellent point with this. Even if you aren't a combat-style citizen, even magical support-style citizens with the ability to white out any magic that threatens the peace of the world, it is your job to do as much as you can to preserve the peace of the world, aka you guys. The citizens have doubts, of course. However, the priestess tells them that once Saline is defeated, peace will be restored to Elantir. She also tells the citizens that Fairy Tail and Suzaku, both parties who are not originally from their world, are fighting to defeat Saline. If you have read or seen Fullmetal Alchemist, this is a similar situation where Ling and Mei fight against King Bradley and Father to prevent the mass extermination of the country of Amestris, even though they aren't from that country. Granted, it is Fairy Tail's job to stop Saline, and Suzaku was ordered to defeat Saline by the Grand White Priestess. Fairy Tail didn't have to go on the quest, and Suzaku could have denied his assistance to the priestess. As Natsu and team are heading towards Black Moon Mountain, they are met with hands. These hands begin to show Sumika, which is a Japanese phrase used to describe the dirt that gets stuck under the fingernail. Ew. However, this stuff begins to grow to the point it begins to drip and fall off and begin to take form of monsters. I feel really bad if any viewers watching this while they are eating. Remember to wash your hands and stay clean and sanitary, ladies and gentlemen. Fairy Tail gets ready to fight the monsters. However, Natsu does what Natsu does best. Takes off for the final boss. Natsu would be a fantastic contender for a speedrun world record holder. He might even give some video game speedrunners a run for their money the way he skips for the final boss. Pun completely intended, by the way. Meanwhile, Suzaku and Saline are still having their fight. She is surprised to see that a human is able to withstand this much, but she knows his moves all too well. Intrigued by how much Saline knows about Suzaku and Kuronugi's power, Suzaku asks what her relation to Kuronugi was. The answer is actually an interesting twist. Kuronugi was one of Saline's kids. Ever heard the saying, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned? Well, now picture that woman as a mother who lost their child. Yeah, good luck battling with that level of fury. Although, I have to give credit to Suzaku's guts. He offered no apology. In what seems to be a last-ditch effort, Suzaku uses a move he created on his own. Underworld Black Purgatory Slash. Saline is hit by this and is down for the count, it seems. However, as she is a god dragon, I doubt that she will be done in this easily. Especially when the fight wasn't a climactic battle between her and Fairy Tail. As Natsu is heading to the top, he is met by Hands, to which he blows them all away with his fire dragon roar, and is showing his determination to defeat Saline. Moving on to the next chapter, Natsu and Happy reach the top of Black Moon Mountain. However, they arrive only to see both Suzaku and Saline being transported to another world. Even though Saline is now on a different world, the magic and chaos hasn't subsided yet. Sometimes it's not as simple as remove said issue and everything stops going out of control. Unable to do anything about them, Natsu and Happy go back to their friends and explain what happened. As more monsters begin to form, Wendy realizes something important. This is actually a really important plot point, so I'll go into some depth at least. So Wendy tells her friends to think back to Tardos' face. She then explains that she did some research after the incident as she was curious about how so many weapons could be moved. Urza remembers how Tartaros had a startup device, and Gray thinks the hands are being moved artificially too. However, that is where Wendy confirms that is the difference between face and hands, along with how they increase and decrease their power. Where face required a startup device, hands does not need one. For those who are unaware or may have forgotten, face requires 3 Magic Council members to seal it with organic link magic. And this seal can be broken with their death. Hands, on the other hand, no pun intended by the way, I promise, are created naturally. An explanation we will get into later on. Going back to Wendy's explanation, Wendy tells the team that while face and hands are different, they share the same structure. While it may seem like they're extending from the ground in different places, they are, in fact, connected to one host, I guess you could say. Hearing this, the team comes to the conclusion to destroy the main source buried underground. Since they had to dig very deep underground, Lucy summons Virgo for assistance. After digging for a fair while, Virgo reaches the roof of a cave. However, she fails to tell the rest of the group and they fall into it. Wendy notices a part of a hand in the cave they're in. Just then, Natsu senses something coming up from the ground. Just then, the ground breaks open, sprouting out a massive creature. And that creature is someone's sleep paralysis demon. This thing's looking like that tree from Naruto when Obito showed Kabuto he had a way to harvest Hashirama cells. Anyways, the sleep paralysis demon thing is called Alta Phase. This is the source of all hands that appear across Elentier. Anyways, the sleep paralysis demon thing is called Alta Phase. This is the source of all hands that appear across Elentier. This is also how hands are created naturally, as previously mentioned. That's a lot of hands, and quite the length of ours to be reaching from the center of our world and sprouting from beneath the ground. Alta Phase is also the source of all magical power that flows in Elentier. Alta Phase reveals that the magical power of the moon dragon known as Selene, distorted, gave it free will. And with that free will, it wants to destroy the world by filling it with magical power. Curious to see how this plays out. I don't have exceedingly high expectations for this fight, as it is not the climactic battle we are anticipating between Fairy Tail and Selene. However, I just hope they don't wrap it up in a few chapters with some uneventful ending like Natsu lit it on fire and it destroyed all the hands. Give us a few good chapters of how Fairy Tail handles Alta Phase, and that'll be satisfying enough for me at least. I am still curious as to the conditions Suzaku and Selene are in. Suzaku landed a pretty nasty blow that Selene wasn't prepared for. Let us know if you think Suzaku will end up forming a temporary truce with Fairy Tail in order to defeat Selene. He seems like the kind of dude to potentially make a truce in order to defeat a common foe. Anyways, that is going to do it for this month's review of Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest. Let us know how you're enjoying the series so far, and let us know how you think Fairy Tail will deal with Alta Phase and eventually Selene in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back at the end of August for the next 2, or maybe 3, chapters. I'm your host Sly, signing us off. Later.